And welcome back to this week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. Today we are getting into it. It's been a while. We're excited to be back. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the whole Mark Whalburg hate. Now, this isn't anything new. It's not like he's been in the news for hot water. It's not like he's done anything horrible lately. In the past, yes, he's done horrible things and he's committed atrocities. I think he didn't even go to jail for them, though. But if you don't know what he did, you got to go ahead and look him up. There was a time when he threw a rock at an Asian man, and he said, I think, racial slurs at him, and he threw a rock at him, and that rock pretty much almost, I think, it blinded him. And there was some other things that he did, like robbing cars. But this is a story of a man who pretty much went on to change his life. And a lot of people like to talk crap about him. A lot of people like to say that he tries too hard in his roles, that he's not funny. And I think what it is that he mixes. I don't think he's crazy. Now, that doesn't mean that we should ignore what he did. But this is an individual who clearly has been able to turn it around. And a lot of people like to hate on those types of people. A lot of people hate on people who... A lot of people turn an eye towards people who continue to do bad. Within the industry, of course, it's easy to judge when we're people who just watch from the TV. But there's the Harvey Weinsteins, the Bill Cosbys, and a lot of people knew about it for years and did nothing. But what I'm referring to the people who were going down a path of harshness, not doing the right thing, and they decided to change it up, and they decided to revamp themselves and reform. And I think Mark Whalburg is one of those. And he was not only a singer for a period, and a model, but he's primarily known as an actor. And I think what a lot of people like to hate on this man because, I don't know, for some strange reason, I think it's because he's religious. I mean, that's the thing that ended up helping him and saving him. And I think sometimes, even if we don't believe in God, we should all just kind of, this is something that I normally don't say, but we can all be surprised by what happens when we turn some direction and attention to God. Because recently, I think I've been following that advice, and it doesn't mean you have to be this devoted Christian. It just means that you have to have faith in something, whether it's God or not. And, he's made lots of good movies, and he's a funny actor, but for every movie that he does that he's funny, he has a few more that are very serious. So I really don't understand where this hate is coming from, and it makes me just wonder that a lot of people like Ted 1 and 2 was it was so funny, and he was going back to this idea of portraying the run-of-the-mill guy, the guy who has a job and smokes weed. And that's a very fun, appealing character to play, I would imagine. For somebody who can, imagine being an actor and you get all these serious roles that can wear you down and they're stressful. Not every actor can do both, where they can do serious and also comical. And to me, I think that Mark Whalburg is one of those guys who happens to be able to do that. And he is also one of those who falls into the class of people who doesn't get appreciated enough. To me, it's a shame. What kind of reminds me of? He reminds me of Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay is one of those who's very talented in cooking, and I feel like sometimes people don't appreciate him for as much as good as he is, because there's this at the forefront of it. There is the cooking, but sometimes people find it very hard to look past his personality of yelling to see his talent of cooking and what he has for it. Because imagine how many times Gordon Ramsay has to pull the gun out of his mouth when he's on those shows. And this is a guy who cares and loves about cooking, and then you get to see somebody who messes the basic things up. So you can, I understand why I would be kind of mad, and I'm not even a chef. But I feel like he's one of those who gets overlooked for that. And also, he got overlooked, I think recently they've been kind of, in the last few years, people have started to love him for the comedic genius that he is. Because he's comical, he is comical. And he does carry a lot of comedic power. And going back to Mark Whalburg, I just think that that's one of the things that, maybe we should stop hating on him. maybe we can look at the story of a man who was able to to do bad, but also he was able to transform himself. And a lot of people like to hate on him, like in that movie Daddy's Home, where he's with Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell should be the one that gets hated on in that movie for being so one note. Will Ferrell does the same thing. He's funny, but it's also like with Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds has to be funny, but he can also do serious roles. And in his early years, he did a lot of serious roles, because when you're young, you don't get to do the things that you want to do as an actor. It's very rare that you walk into as an actor and you get to do what you want. And he had to take certain roles that obviously the role he wanted to do the most was Deadpool, but Mark Wahlberg is not a terrible actor. And I think we should watch his movies and give him a little bit more appreciation. And I think it's like a lot of people like to be in these like relationships with actors where it's like, well, you never do enough, or you never pay attention to me. And it's like, when are you going to be happy? This is, I think it's the religious aspect that people don't like too. And I don't even know what steroids have to do with it, because it's not like he's that jacked, like a bodybuilder. He has a great physique. But maybe stop hating on people who have what you would like to have, because I'm sure, I do my whole thing here with a few lights and a higher quality camera than my iPhone, and I try to edit it as good as I can, and that's exhausting. Imagine being an actor where you get a script, and I want to be an aspiring actor, so imagine how hard it is to show up and have to do all that stuff, read a script. And he was one who was able to I'm sure it didn't come easy, but like I say, the next door neighbor, she's got like 4 kids from 3 different dads, and it's a shame. So why are some of these people able to transform certain aspects of their life into different directions, that are much more uplifting? He was probably like 20 something when a lot of this stuff happened, and he probably gained a lot at an early age, but he was able to maintain it. In fact, he was able to transcend it. There's people here who are at 50 and they still haven't bought a house. And I'm not saying that buying a house means you're successful, but at some point you have to reach a level of stability. You can no longer, it's not cute to be 30 and still be going from job to job. This man clearly is a message to the youth that, hey, yeah, you can mess up. And yeah, it is going to be hard to get better. But if you just apply yourself a lot, but if you apply yourself very diligently and for a long time, and if you take your medication, if you eat your broccoli, if you go to the gym, if you try to fix it with your mom, what I mean, like if you have a broken relationship and you put in the hours, things will get better. Maybe today the best you did was get up, clean the house, pick your mom's medication up, not cuss the neighbor out, and maybe you kept to yourself rather than being hateful. Maybe that's what we could learn from this, as opposed to saying, well, he hit a guy with a rock. These are all, he probably carries that shame still, and maybe God has helped him alleviate that shame. Possibly, I wouldn't be surprised, because a lot of people talk about God doing things that are just unlikely, that couldn't be done without him. And one of those could have been that maybe he did rid him of all that shame, because shame is a horrible thing. Shame is like herpes. You may not see it, but it's there. And hopefully, maybe with God, probably with God adding him into the equation, you can get rid of that. You can't get rid of herpes, but you can't get rid of shame. So, on that note, that's going to be the end.